See that brown bottle under your bathroom sink? The one that cost you $1.50? The one you bought the last time someone scraped their knee? It's been sitting there for months, maybe years. You probably forgot it was even there. That bottle is one of the most powerful plant treatments on the planet, and the garden industry has spent decades making sure you never found that out. Because if you knew what hydrogen peroxide actually does to soil, to roots, to fungus, to pests, you would never buy half the products you currently spend money on. And they know it. I am going to show you exactly how to use it today. How to mix it, when to spray it, where to apply it, and what you'll see happen within 24 to 48 hours. Before we go in further, I need you to drop your US or your USDA hardiness zone in the comment right now. Because what works in Florida is not always the same story as what works in LA. I read every single one of those, and your answers actually shape what I cover next. So leave it now while it's on your mind. And I want to give you advice that actually means something for where you are growing. Now, I need you to stay until I get to number 5 on this list, because that specific application is the one that is going to save plants you probably already think are dead. I have seen it bring back root-rotted plants that experienced growers had given up on entirely. Don't leave before we get there. Let's talk about what hydrogen peroxide actually is, because this is where most people get it wrong. And getting it wrong means you either hurt your plants or you don't see any results at all. Hydrogen peroxide is water with one extra oxygen atom. The formula is H2O2 instead of H2O. That sounds simple, but that one extra atom is what changed the entire story. When H2O2 hits organic material, fungal spores, bacteria, the cell walls of pests, rotting root tissue, it immediately breaks apart. It releases that extra oxygen atom as a reactive burst. That burst oxidizes whatever it touches. It destroys cell membranes. It floods the area with oxygen, and then it collapses back into plain water. That is the mechanism. It attacks the problem, releases oxygen that beneficial soil biology thrives on, and then it's completely gone. No chemical residue, no accumulation in your soil.
No harm to earthworms if you're using the right concentration.
Nothing left behind except a cleaner, more oxygenated root zone. Here's the piece of insider information that most people don't know. Root rot doesn't actually kill your plants directly. What kills them is the anaerobic bacteria that colonize the wet, oxygen-depleted soil around the rotting roots. They multiply in low-oxygen environments. Hydrogen peroxide doesn't just kill the fungus, it floods that zone with oxygen, which is physically hostile to those anaerobic organisms. It attacks the rot and collapses the environment that allows the rot to spread. That's why it works when nothing else does. I've been working with plants indoors, outdoors, vegetables, tropical, for going to 12 years. I've tested hydrogen peroxide in different concentrations on dozens of plant types. What I'm about to give you is not what I read in a gardening forum. It's what I've watched happen in real soil with real plants over a real growing season. Use number 1. Killing fungus gnats without touching a single pesticide. If you have fungus gnats, you already know the rage. You see those tiny flies hovering around your houseplants, and you buy the yellow sticky traps, and you get maybe 20% of them. And then 3 weeks later, the population is back because you never addressed the larvae in the soil. The larvae are the problem. The flying adults are just the announcement. Fungus gnat larvae live in the top 2 inches of moist soil. They feed on root hairs, and they are the reason young seedlings mysteriously collapse. It's not overwatering, it's not underwatering, it's those larvae chewing through the root system from below. Here's the fix. Mix 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide. That's the standard brown bottle at any pharmacy with 4 parts water. That gives you a roughly 0.6% solution. Water your infested plants with that mixture instead of plain water for the next 2 or 3 watering time. The H2O2 hits the larvae directly. It oxidizes their soft bodies on contact. The effervescence you see when peroxide hits organic material, that fizzing, that is the oxidation reaction, and it is lethal to the larvae in a way it is not lethal to your mature plant roots. Within 48 hours, the larvae population crashes. Within a week, the flying adults, with nothing left to reproduce into, disappear, and your soil is left more oxygenated than before you started. The reason store-bought gnat treatments fail is that they target the adults with residual insecticides. The adults die, but the eggs and larvae are already in the soil, and they keep the cycle going. You are treating symptoms. Hydrogen peroxide treats the source. And number 2 is where this gets even more interesting, because this next use is for something that happens to almost every gardener, and almost none of them know what they're actually looking at. Use number 2, stopping powdery mildew before it takes over your leaves. Powdery mildew is a fungal infection. It looks like someone dusted white flour across your plant leaves. You'll see it on squash, cucumbers, roses, phlox, zucchini. Most gardeners first notice it in late summer when humidity rises, and by the time it's visible on the leaf surface, the fungal threads, called hyphae, have already penetrated deep into the leaf tissue. Here is what the garden center sells you. Fungicide sprays. Some work, many don't, and almost all of them have a residue problem, especially if you're growing food. Hydrogen peroxide, at 1 part 3% to 9 parts water. A roughly 0.3% dilution, applied as a foliar spray, kills powdery mildew on contact. You spray the top and bottom of the affected leaves. The oxidation reaction destroys the fungal cell walls. The spores that haven't germinated yet are neutralized before they can infect healthy tissue, and the plant is unharmed because plant cells, with their rigid cell walls, can withstand brief oxidative exposure far better than soft-bodied fungal spores. Apply it in the early morning. Not midday wet leaves in direct afternoon sun can cause sunscald regardless of what you're spraying them with. Early morning means the leaves are dry before the heat of the day. Apply it every 5 to 7 days during active infection, and you will see a 60 to 70% reduction in surface coverage within 2 treatments. Not full eradication powdery mildew is persistent, and you'll need to combine this with better airflow around the plant. But it stops the spread, and it does it without leaving a single chemical residue on your food. Use number 3, speeding up seed germination by up to 30%. This one surprised most people, but the science is very straightforward. Seeds fail to germinate for a few different reasons. The soil is too cold, the seed is old and has lost viability, or, and this is the one no one talks about, there is a surface layer of mold or bacteria on the seed coat that blocks or slows the germination process. Soaking seeds in a solution of 1 teaspoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide per cup of water for 30 minutes before planting does 2 things. It kills any mold, bacteria, or pathogen on the seed coat, and it softens the seed coat itself, which allows moisture to penetrate faster, which triggers germination chemistry sooner. In multiple tests, I've run on tomato and pepper seeds, both of which have notoriously slow germination seeds. Treated this way germinated 2 to 4 days earlier than untreated controls, and germination rates were consistently higher.
Not by a little, by enough that if you're starting seeds indoors for a transplant schedule, those extra days matter significantly. This is the kind of thing that commercial seed operations have used for decades. It's called oxidative seed priming, and it's not new, but somehow it never made it into the mainstream gardening conversation, probably because no one sells it in a branded bottle. Real quick, if what I'm sharing is changing how you think about your garden, the best thing you can do for yourself right now is subscribe. Not for me,
but for you. YouTube only shows you what you subscribe to. If you don't hit that button, the next video I release, and I have one coming on soil biology, that will genuinely change how you approach every watering you do for the rest of your life. You will just miss it. The algorithm won't surface it. So click subscribe now, and then let's keep going.
Use number 4, disinfecting pots and garden tools to stop disease from spreading. Here's a situation you may not have connected the dots on. Your favorite plant died. Root rot, fungal wilt, something. You felt terrible. You tossed the plant. You washed the pot. And then you planted something new in it. And 6 weeks later, the new plant started showing the same symptoms. Because you didn't kill the pathogen. You rinsed it. Fungal spores, bacterial blights, Pythium, Fusarium, these organisms survive on pot surfaces, on pruning shear blades, on trowels, on the lip of a watering can. Soap and water do not kill them. Soap cleans, it does not disinfect.
A 10% hydrogen peroxide solution, that is 1 part 3% peroxide, mixed directly without dilution, or a 10% concentration if you have access to the food-grade version from a hydroponic supplier, applied to pots, tools, and propagation trays for 30 seconds of contact time, will kill the vast majority of common plant pathogens. Rinse with water after. Let it dry, then use. This single habit, applied consistently, breaks the disease transmission cycle that kills plant after plant in the same pot or with the same tools. It is the step that separates gardeners who keep losing plants to the same problems from gardeners who seem to never have the same problem twice. And now, number 5. I told you at the beginning to stay for this. This is the one that I have genuinely watched work when everything else had failed. This is the root rot rescue protocol. Use number 5, the root rot rescue protocol. Root rot kills more houseplants and container plants than any other single cause. It's misdiagnosed constantly. People think the plant is underwatered because it's wilting, so they water it more. and the root rot gets worse, and the plant dies faster. The symptoms of root rot, wilting, yellowing, collapse look almost identical to the symptoms of drought stress. That's why it kills so many plants. Gardener treat it backward. Here's how to know it's root rot. Take the plant out of the pot. Look at the roots. Healthy roots are white or cream-colored and firm. Rotten roots are brown or black. They're mushy, and if you pinch one between your fingers, the outer sheath slides off like a wet sock. If that's what you're seeing, you have root rot. Here is the protocol. Follow it in this order. Step 1. Prepare your work area. You need clean scissors or shears disinfected, as described a moment ago. A bowl large enough to soak the root ball. 3% hydrogen peroxide from the pharmacy. Fresh, dry potting mix, and a pot that is only 1 to 2 inches larger than the root ball you'll have after trimming. Oversized pots stay wet too long and cause the exact conditions that lead back to rot. Step 2. Cut every rotten root away. Cut it at the point where the healthy white tissue begins. I know it feels aggressive. Do it anyway. Rotten root tissue is dead tissue. The plant cannot use it. It is actively feeding the pathogenic organisms that are continuing to spread upward. Remove it completely. Step 3. Make your soak. 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide to 2 parts water. Place the trimmed root ball in that solution. Let it soak for 20 to 30 minutes. You will see fizzing. That fizzing is the oxidation reaction working. It is destroying the residual fungal and bacterial organisms on and between the remaining roots. It is also flooding the root zone with oxygen, which begins the recovery process immediately. Step 4. While the roots are soaking, prepare your new pot. Fill the bottom third with fresh, dry potting mix. Do not reuse the old soil. The old soil is contaminated. It is the reason this happened.
Step 5. Remove the plant from the soak. Do not rinse. Let the root ball air dry for 20 to 30 minutes. You want that oxidation reaction to continue working as the peroxide fully degrades. Then plant into the fresh mix, backfill, and water lightly, just enough to settle the soil. Not saturated, not wet. Step 6. Place the plant in bright indirect light for 2 weeks, not direct sun. The plant is in recovery mode. It is rebuilding root tissue. Direct sun is a demand for water and nutrient uptake that the root system currently cannot meet. Indirect light keeps the plant alive while the roots rebuild. The warning: if you skip the step of removing all the rotten root tissue, this protocol will slow the rot but not stop it. The peroxide soak cannot fix root tissue that is already dead and infected. You must cut first, soak second. In that order. Within 3 to 5 days, you should see the plant stabilize, no further wilting, leaves holding their position. Within 2 weeks, you should see new growth beginning. That is the sign that the root system is recovered enough to resume normal function. That is the moment you return to a regular watering schedule. I have done this with pothos, with monsteras, with fiddle leaf figs, with tomato plants, with citrus in containers. It works. Not every time. If the rot has reached the crown of the plant, if the stem itself is mushy at the soil line, you are past the point of rescue. But if the stem is still firm and there are any white roots remaining, this protocol gives you a real chance. Now let me tell you what goes wrong, because this part is just as important as everything I just told you. The most common mistake people make with hydrogen peroxide on plants is using too high a concentration. 3% is what you want for nearly every application I've described. That is the standard brown pharmacy bottle. It is widely available, it's cheap, and it's the correct concentration for foliar sprays, soil drenches, and seed soaks. If you have access to food-grade hydrogen peroxide, which comes in concentrations of 12%, 17%, or even 35%, you need to dilute it significantly before any plant contact. Undiluted food-grade peroxide will chemically burn your roots and your leaf tissue. The higher the concentration, the more aggressive the oxidation, and plant tissue has limits. 3% applied directly is fine. 12% applied directly is not. What happens if you get the concentration wrong? You'll see bleaching on leaf surfaces within a few hours of spraying, white or cream-colored patches where the spray made contact. You may see root tips die back if you've drenched at too high a concentration. The plant usually recovers, but you've set it back. So, get your concentration right before you apply anything. Who should be cautious? If you have highly sensitive plants, carnivorous plants like sundews and Venus flytraps, which evolved in extremely nutrient-poor, chemically neutral environments, hydrogen peroxide at any concentration can cause damage. These plants are the exception, not the rule. For virtually every other common garden and houseplant, the 3% dilutions I've described are safe when applied correctly. And here's the honest limitation. Hydrogen peroxide is a treatment, not a prevention. It will kill a fungal infection that is already present. It will not permanently prevent new spores from landing on your plants and starting a new infection. You are not building a force field. You are addressing an active problem. The prevention side of that equation is about airflow, proper watering, appropriate soil drainage, and not letting leaves stay wet overnight. Peroxide handles the crisis. Good growing conditions prevent the next one. Let me give you something concrete to walk away with, because I don't want you to finish this video and feel like you need to figure out where to start. If you have never used hydrogen peroxide on your plants before, start with seed soaking. It costs nothing extra. You're about to plant those seeds anyway. 1 teaspoon per cup of water, 30-minute soak, plant as normal. That's the lowest stakes, highest upside starting point. You'll see the difference in germination speed within a week, and it will make you a believer in everything else. If you are dealing with an active problem right now, gnats, powdery mildew, a plant that is wilting despite wet soil, don't wait. Mix the 1:4 dilution for a soil drench or the 1:9 for a foliar spray, depending on what you're facing, and apply today. Problems like these compounds. Every day you wait is another generation of larvae, another fungal spore spread, another root that goes from salvageable to dead. Act now. If you want to prevent future problems and you're not currently in a crisis, incorporate the tool and pot disinfection step into your routine every time you repot. Every time you use a tool on a plant that had any kind of disease or pest. 30 seconds of contact with disinfecting peroxide concentration, a rinse, and you have broken the most common transmission pathway for plant disease in your entire growing space. One tool, a brown bottle of 3% hydrogen peroxide, under $2, already in your house. One habit, dilute before you apply, every time, no shortcuts. One mindset shift. The most powerful things in your garden are often the simplest. The industry profits from complexity. Your plants thrive on fundamentals. So, here's what I want from you right now. Go back to that comment you left at the beginning, that one-word problem. Now tell me, after watching this, do you have a plan to address it? And if you tried anything here and it worked for you or didn't work, tell me in the comments. Not because I need validation, because your experience genuinely shapes what I make next. If 200 people tell me the root rot protocol worked on their monstera, I want to make a full deep dive video on tropical plant recovery. Your comments are literally the content roadmap. And subscribe if you haven't yet. I know you're going to hear that from every creator you watch. But here's the practical reality. YouTube's algorithm shows you content from channels you subscribe to. Without that subscription, the next video I publish, even if it's exactly what you need, has no way to reach you. One click, and every video I make that's relevant to you will show up in your feed. That's just how the platform works. So let the algorithm work for you. Last thing, if you know someone who has been losing plants and can't figure out why someone who spent money on pesticides and fungicides and expensive soil treatments and nothing's sticking, send them this video. Don't send it to support my channel. Send it because what I've shown you today would have saved them real money and real frustration if they'd known it sooner. That's a genuinely useful thing to do for someone you care about. I will see you in the next one. Keep planting.